Hey guys, we're back doing a follow-up video. I posted two videos yesterday trying to go over. I started out with the Retron 5 gaming cabinet, and I kind of went off on a tangent about trucks and life in general. This one's going to be a little bit more focused on a couple of things I glanced over in the previous two videos. Talking about an 88 Ford Ranger pickup and how I got a radio from my grandpa. This is not the radio. This is like that radio. The lady I actually gave my radio to, this is the radio out of her pickup. This came out of a 96 F-150 Eddie Bauer edition. A little bit newer than the radio I gave her, but they're literally identical. The only difference is this has a clock function. Mine did not have a clock function. Both were cassette decks. And this guy's a fully functional radio. Apparently the lady was having an issue with it was shutting off for some reason. Not really sure why. It's getting old already, so we'll just go with, stuff don't last forever, unfortunately. Anyway, to sum it up, I got a speaker hooked up here, and it's running off that power supply, which I mentioned in a previous video about how I modified it. This is actually in an ammo box, for those of you wondering what is that. It's a custom thing that I had built. There's a reason behind it. The reason behind it putting in the ammo boxes was to make it fit a larger battery. To use it as a jump pack, well, that didn't pan out, but it does work good for smaller, lower amp draw projects like this, for example. Anyway, back to the radio part. Like I said, I was surprised. She claims the cassette deck, it didn't work. And then the radio would shut off. Well, just a little taste here. Radio's on. Radio's working good. Or, I don't have an antenna plugged into it, so it's going to be static. Anyway, push the tape in there. You can hear the music. She's working. Pretty impressive. I know a lot of you are thinking, what's so great about that? It's just an old radio. And yeah, it is, but at the same time, it's kind of neat. It's nostalgia for me. Anyway, I mentioned actually in the first video that I posted about the arcade cabinet that I had built a update to this, I guess, because this has two power ports on here. I was talking about how if the power goes out, something like that. I kind of basically turn this kind of into one unit, and it'll be revealed here in 3, 2, 1. Here she is. This here is a SSL doubled-in CD player, MP3, and Bluetooth player I bought. Originally, I was going to use the factory radio out of my 2013 Dodge Challenger, but found out, unfortunately, that they use a thing called CAN bus, which limits the ability to be used outside of a automobile application, we'll call it, because it has to communicate with the computer. And since there's no computer in this setup I have, it basically all it would do is turn on the display for a couple seconds and shut off. So that was very frustrating. I spent some money on some adapters and stuff, and ended up being frustrated, and nothing ended up happening. So since I had already started the project, I had everything all kind of wired up per se. I decided to go through and buy this radio, which wasn't exactly cheap. This is a new radio. I found it on eBay. I forget what I paid for it, but regardless, it wasn't a super cheap project. But I really wanted to try this out. Originally, I was using two 12-volt Porter cable impact driver batteries, and that's the whole idea, was to make this portable. This is actually kind of made like a car, and I'll demonstrate that here in a second. The way I have it wired up is this is your main power. So when you flip this switch on, it's like when you turn the key on to run position on your car. And the second one here would be like an accessory, so that's your secondary power, so this would turn the radio on. So when you shut this off, it shuts the radio off, but it actually doesn't kill power to the whole system. This switch over here is, if you can look real close, it says voltage. I got a voltage gauge here, so it'll tell you what the battery voltage is. Very handy for that. And of course, this switch down here, I know some of you are wondering, why is there a switch on these two. The whole idea was just to make it kind of neat. I was kind of going for a switch panel kind of look. This is a USB, or not a USB, cigarette lighter, or a power port, I guess you would call it. And this here is to plug in your phone or whatever. You can plug whatever power outlet, 12-volt power outlet stuff you want to it. Internals, I have this box is actually was originally a 5.1 digital surround sound RCA speaker, which I can show you right here. It started out, there was buttons and stuff here. What happened is something happened to the circuit board, it fried it and just quit working. You can see remnants of a speaker. There is a speaker in here. It's out of a Washburn Lion guitar amplifier. I used the speaker out of the amplifier because the amplifier went bad. The speaker, on the other hand, was still working. However, it is slightly damaged, so there is some grittiness and not the cleanest sound. However, this box here was actually a subwoofer box. On the bottom, I drilled a hole in the bottom there. I actually bought a hole saw kit, drilled a hole in the bottom there, and put the subwoofer in there, just because I could. Anyway, since it's a radio, getting to the back here, I had to put an antenna on it so you could pick up radio stations. And since I was in trying to make this a little bit more, I guess you would call it portable, but also you could set it up as a system if you wanted to. I put some speaker jacks in the back so you can hook up, since this radio is made for a car, you can have multiple speakers, and since I only have 2 speakers in here, I figured why not put 2 more options on the back. Okay, now on to the internals. The internals I have, it's a 24 volt to 12 volt buck converter in there. That I originally tried was trying to run it off of 12 volt batteries, and it didn't last very long. I got like, oh shoot, maybe a couple hours tops, and it didn't work too good. Wasn't a big fan of it. So anyway, I was running it off of a which is actually over here. This is a 18 watt power supply off of a HP printer, I believe, and it worked good. Didn't have any problems with it, but it took away the portability factor, and I wasn't a big fan of that. So the last ditch effort I came up with, since I have that buck converter in there, I put that in later, of course. I have a lot of these Hypertough, which is a Walmart brand impact driver, and I also have a 12-inch chainsaw as well as a weed whacker, and they all use this 20 volt Hypertough battery like this one here. And I believe this guy here is actually the one off my chainsaw. So they're 2.5 amp hour battery. They have ones all the way down to 1.5, which is probably what I should use on this, but it works just fine. Kind of haven't tested this properly, but you can get a good solid 4 hours out of one battery with this setup. Since I put the buck converter in it, I'm not sure how long it'll go. I've run it overnight, and of course you wake up in the morning and the battery's dead, so you don't know how long it ran. I didn't run a timer or anything on it. I would like to set it up a little bit better. However, in order to make it last longer, I actually found out a way. To make this powered up, here's what I did. This is actually a charger for those batteries. I had gotten several of the impact drivers because I had some problems with them, and I figured, rather than going buy a name brand one, I'll just buy these. They were cheaper. Kind of one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't sort of deals. Anyway, this is a older camera phone that I'm using right now, so I apologize for video quality. I'm sure it's not quite as good as my previous videos. This is an old Windows phone. Yeah, I believe that. Anyway, this is the charger thing here, and actually below, I got this plugged in here. I got a little recess here with the power plugs. You can plug this into a 110, 115, 120, whatever you want to call it. And it works just fine. You can run it that way, and theoretically runs indefinitely as long as the power don't go out. It actually works really good. I've had really 0 issues with it. This, like I said, this was something I just completely came up with. A lot of you are probably thinking, well, this reminds you of like a jaw box radio, like the Milwaukee's or DeWalt's they have, where you put the batteries on the side of it. That is exactly what I was going for. And those are quite expensive, as I'm sure some of you know if you're in the construction field or building field, whatever, or job sites, whatever, where they have those around. They're expensive. They're easily probably $200-300, and that's just a guesstimation. Um, anyway, yeah, I was trying to tie up some loose ends here. These are, a couple of the other projects that I had gotten into, and wasn't able to properly bring them to light in the last videos. So I figured, let's tie up some loose ends here and make this a video about them. So anyway, this is what these are about. I'll give you a little quick test run of this guy here. She works perfectly fine, so they light up green. Originally my old radio was green, so if you're wondering why these are green, and the radio actually lights up blue. The old radio lit up green. They weren't going to match. Well, unfortunately that didn't pan out, so they're green, well, the radio's blue, so we'll just make it work like that. Anyway, this is your power. This turns on all your systems. Like, for example, this will be a good example of how it works. See, it says 12.1. This is a 20-volt battery. That's a buck converter there. Now, I shut this main power switch off. Power goes away. This is your main power switch, just like an ignition switch on a car. Secondary switch will turn on the radio. Give it a second here. Showing the clock. Hit the mode button. Give it a second. Radio pops on. You can hear radio. It's got a disc function. Like I said, it's got a CD in it. We'll have a second. Show you that everything works on it. We can do it plays a few seconds and we'll. There you go. Now we got USB, which is obviously plugged into this. There's that, and auxiliary in if I wanted to. There's a slide this little guy open. I can plug in a aux cord, which I don't really use those anymore. Now that this is a Bluetooth radio, and then of course it says pairing, which I don't have it hooked up right now, but it can do Bluetooth. Anyway, that's what this guy's capable of. And then of course, if I want to, see how that blue light turned on the thing. That's for your extra accessories. You can shut her down. The only thing is when you shut this off, you lose all power. So if you want to have this have a clock or something like this, you wouldn't be able to ever shut this off. I don't really care about that so much. This is just more to just have it be portable. I have a pool out in my yard, and it's kind of neat. You can take it out there if you want to have a few drinks or something. You can sit out there and kind of have a little yard party, if you will. So anyway, that's the little speaker setup I got here, or my little portable radio I got here. Like I said, and this guy here, I don't know, I may make something like that for this. I'm not really sure. I like the fact that this has a clock in it. That's the whole reason I kind of wanted to keep it. The lady didn't really care about it. She's like, oh yeah, you can have it, I don't care. So I have to do something similar with this, and I think it'll work out just fine. So anyway, that's what this video is about. Like I said, if you guys are interested in my content, please feel free to like and comment. I'd like to get some more feedback from you guys. I know there's about 13 people that are even interested in my stuff right now, and I know it's a long, hard uphill battle to be even recognized on YouTube, and I'm just kind of trying to make it work. And I said not looking to make millions or anything like that. I know some of you guys are thinking I'm just trying to shortcut my way to fame. That's not what I'm going for. Just trying to be a normal guy and be relatable to some of you, and would like to share some of my quirks and hobbies, I guess, with you guys to show you that you can make stuff out of anything if you really want to. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.